Hey guys, what's going on? It's your big dreamer and doer, G Dinero, coming to you today with another TA Tuesday. Today we'll talk about all the favorites like Bitcoin, Solana, MicroStrategy, and Tesla. But first, remember, none of this is tax, financial, legal, investment advice. It's your buddy G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. So let's jump right in. All right, we're going to go ahead and start right out here with the Bitcoin TABI model. And on the TABI model, you can see we are sitting at 105,768, clearly in the orange zone. Orange is the first layer where we start to think about that this thing is running hot, right? Yellow is neutral. Everything in the cooler colors, green and blue, is buying opportunities. Orange is where we maybe start to think about taking profits. But we're just in the early phases. There's still dark orange, there's red, and there's dark red. So there's still 3 more levels to come after this one. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin daily chart. As you can see here on the daily chart, we've been relatively sideways, right? Relatively sideways over the last week or so. We did have a bit of a spike last week. Then it tempered off again as it came back down, all the way back down to about $102,000. And right now, we are back up here in this, 105, 106 range. 105, 106 has been and more than likely will be that strong level of support for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has also weathered the storm pretty well over the last few days of the Israel-Iran conflict, right? So if you look on the mean reversion on the daily, we're a little bit above the mean. We're pretty much right at the mean on RSI, MACD, and the global liquidity has tapered off just a little bit over the last couple of days. Then if we jump in here to the Bitcoin 4-hour chart, on the 4-hour chart, you can see last week was right in, we were right in this range where we were talking about it. So last week we were up when I did the TA Tuesday video. Since then, we've pulled all the way back down to below 102 and now all the way back up to 108 and leveling in around 106. So we're basically working ourselves in the bottom part of this ascending linear regression channel and running right along the 50-day moving average. We came and found support on it here on Thursday, June 5th. We found it again here on Friday the 13th, last Friday, and a couple of wicks down where we almost came down to the 50-day moving average. The good news is 50-day moving average is heading northward and is currently sitting at, let's put an exact number on it. It's currently sitting at 104,117, $104,000 basically. Mean reversion, we're back down below the mean slightly. So we had a little bump yesterday, back down again, and sitting pretty much at the mean for all intents and purposes. Strong area of support here with, again, at 106 on the Bitcoin chart, whether you're looking at it on a daily or on a 4-hour chart, really strong support there. Next up, we're going to go ahead and take a look here at the Solana Bitcoin chart. Again, I look at this one on the daily. I don't look at this on the little micro moves up and down. And on the daily, again, we're in this ascending channel that we've been in since the lows of 2022. That's when this pair bottomed out. It topped out most recently a year ago in March 18th, a year ago, at around 0.0031. Currently, that ratio is down in the it's hard to see, 0.00142 range, sitting down here near the bottom of this channel. I thought we had a inverted head and shoulders right here with a target of 0.002. That broke down and we are near lows right now, near the lowest lows that we've had in the last year and a half or so. Why is this? Bitcoin's the narrative right now. No matter what happens with Solana, every time it starts to get a little bit of bid, it starts to move. It seems like it's pushed back down again. That one does tend to be manipulated, in my opinion. The Solana chart, we'll see that in a second. But that pair, everything right now, Bitcoin is all the rage. The altcoins are really not moving when priced in Bitcoin terms. Everything's all about Bitcoin, the institutions. And if we come over here to the Solana 4-hour chart, somehow the Solana daily chart's not in here. Sorry about that. But if we come over here to the Solana 4-hour chart, we'll see the same thing. Really sideways price action. We get a mean reversion to the upside. We come and pull straight back to the downside. Every single one of these moves upward is met by resistance, and we pull back down here to the 100-day moving average. That's the red line, essentially going just above the green line, which is the 50-day moving average. So for the last month or so, we've basically been trading between the two moving averages. Yes, we've wicked up a little bit above it, a little bit below it, but in the lower part of this ascending channel that we've been in since back here on April 7th, currently mean reverted slightly to the downside, but for all intents and purposes, we are at the mean. Again, trading sideways. That's kind of the common theme of today's video, is we're in a bit of a holding pattern right now. You also note that 151. We've been talking about that as a strong level of support and resistance for months now. Back here in March, 151 was resistance. Back here in April, 151 was resistance. Once we broke above it, 151 in May and in June has been support. Okay, so yes, we've wicked below it, but we always tend to find our way back to the mean. The mean right now is that 150 level, and that also happens to be the 50% Fibonacci. So that's like the midpoint of the move from the upside to the downside. That midpoint, we are just vacillating right back to it over and over again. Have not been able to get over the 200-day moving average with Solana. Jumping over here to SUI, quick hit on SUI. We've had 3 buy signals in a row. It looks to have found its support at the 50% fib level, which is around $2.91. Yes, we're at $2.90, 0.89, but really we're at the mean. Again, the 200-day has acted as resistance recently. I don't even see where do I not have it turned on? Give me just a second. Let's take a look. Oh, that's because I don't have it turned on. Let's turn on the 50 and the 100. There we go. And the 50-day is pretty much up here. We did have a bit of a golden cross right here where the 50-day crossed up through the 200-day moving average. But as you can see, a lot of times people think that means an incredible move to the upside. Well, we moved to the upside and then mean reverted right back down to the 100-day moving average. So same story here with SUI, trading back and forth between the 200 or the 50-day and the 200-day moving average and the 100-day moving average on the bottom side. And again, in the bottom part of the ascending linear regression channel. Let's go ahead and go over to MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy on the daily, sideways, like virtually nothing. There's virtually no volatility. Cool thing to note is that the MNAV has been below 2 now all the way since back in May, right? So for over a month now, the MNAV has been below 2. That's telling you that Saylor is letting this breathe a little bit right now, using some of his preferred stocks instead to buy more Bitcoin for the balance sheet. Every time he does that without diluting the stock, right? There's no reason to dilute the stock if the MNAV is below 2. Why sell shares of stock and dilute it even further? Leave the MNAV below 2 where it is, sell shares of STRK, STRF, and now STRD. Use that money to immediately buy more Bitcoin, which increases the sats per share and lowers the effective MNAV of the MicroStrategy common shares of stock. You also see here, I'm bringing in the VRVP, solid level right here. Not the point of control, because we're looking all the way back to when we were down in the 125 range. But if I remove that part and we look at just since the election of last year, the point of control, we're sitting on it right now. It's 389, 390, let's say. So that's why we're having a tough time working our way through all of this volume that you see here. Above that, once we get above 433, it's clear skies. But getting through this area of resistance is proving a little bit more challenging than what maybe I initially thought. Mean reversion is pretty much at the mean. Again, if we look over here on the 4-hour chart, see how the mean reversion dots went from these wild swings of 2 standard deviations below to 2 standard deviations above. And since then, we did get one move down to about a 1.5 standard deviation below the norm. But lately, it's just been sideways. We haven't even been able to get more than 1 standard deviation above or below the norm. RSI has been trading on either side of 50, let's say going down to 40 and up to 60, but it's really just been flat for all intents and purposes. We're at that 50% mean level again, the 50% fib retracement level, which is kind of the midpoint of the move. We found resistance up here at the 61.8, which is that 425 level. That's our current area of resistance, and we're sitting in our current area of support where there's tons and tons of volume in this $360 to $400 range, 380, 385, right in the middle of that. 50-day moving average is all the way up to 365 right now. That should act as the first level of support. 100-day is down here at 336. If we were to drop down any lower, this is that next area of support. But I see us sitting at 365 or higher right now for MicroStrategy. Again, don't forget, June 30th, as long as the Bitcoin price is above approximately $94,000, $95,000, then MicroStrategy will show a huge quarter of earnings because of the FASB accounting rules. What does that mean in English? It means that the size of the gain in this quarter alone, ending June 30th, 2025, will offset the previous 3 quarters of losses, giving MicroStrategy a net profit for the last 12 months. That's the final thing for inclusion, the final inclusion criteria to get included into the S&P 500. If it does that, guys, look out, jets are on. Next up is Tesla. If we look over here at Tesla, again, similar story. We did have a great move to the upside coming off of these lows, coming out of the earnings report. Everybody was excited about robotaxi. Everybody was excited about the future and what the future held for Tesla. Then we got knocked back down to size right here, right? There was a lot of things that knocked it back, things like protests in LA, which kind of delayed the robotaxi launch. There were some people saying that Tesla isn't producing cars as fast. A lot of different FUD, let's just call it that. But for right now, we are back up at this point of control. Point of control is sitting here at 340, 342 to be exact. That will present a challenge to break through this area of resistance. Once we get above that, it's smooth sailing up to around 400 again. So right now for Tesla on the immediate horizon, I see it going relatively sideways, staying at around this 340 to 350 level, maybe up even as high as 360, right? At least until we can get some results out of the robotaxi launch, get some excitement back around it again, give Elon some time now that he's back full-time over at Tesla instead of part-time with the government. So that's on the daily chart. If we go over here and we get more granular on the 4-hour chart, you can see here's the current resistance zone that we're talking about. I have it extending all the way down to 330 and all the way up to 360. So that is the zone of resistance with 351 right in the middle of that. We are basically beating our heads up against it. Where do we pull back to? The support zone. The support zone goes all the way down to 285 and up to 300. You will note that all 3 moving averages, this is a little bit unusual, but all 3 moving averages are converging right here. You have the 100 that just dropped below the 200-day moving average. That happened last Thursday. You have the 50 creeping its way up towards the 100-day moving average, and the 200-day is flattening. So all 3 of these are approximating each other. Let's put an exact number on those. It is 298 for the 50-day moving average, 304 for the 100-day moving average, and 308 for the 200-day moving average. Guys, that area right there will act as support, in my opinion. We're not going below that unless something dramatic happens, like some kind of dramatic news. Again, mean reversion, we are flat. It's been relatively flat for the last week. RSI is right there at 50, and MACD is flat as well. Moving along to the Nvidia daily chart. And again, I apologize for not having the Solana daily chart in there, but I usually have both. I just forgot to include it. Here on the Nvidia chart, it's been a solid march upward since April the 4th, right? Everything bottomed out back then. There was all kinds of tariff tensions. There was all kinds of stress about the relationship between the US and China and how that would affect the chip market, especially Nvidia's market, right? So Nvidia had sold off dramatically from January, from basically the inauguration all the way down to April, sold all the way down to $86 and has since regained almost all of that move back. We're sitting at about 145 right now. The high on this is 153, and that was back in January. we've almost regained that entire distance back up. You can see tons and tons and tons of volume that's transpiring right here at these levels. That's a great sign. That means that right now the floor is likely 135. With Nvidia, anything near there, again, not financial advice, but that's a buying area for me if it drops down to there. Up here at 145, 150, that is going to present a challenge to get through. That's why I have it as the current resistance zone. Support zone starting here at 140. There's a second support zone that goes all the way down to about 131. If we look at the 4-hour chart, even more impressive, just straight up and to the right. But we are tending to sit at the midline right now of this linear regression channel. And you note that we've been finding considerable resistance here at 145. We've gone above it, pulled below it, above it, below it. That light blue line that's on there for me, that has nothing to do with like fib levels or anything else. The fib level is right here at 78.6, 140, and then the 100% is up there at around 154. We basically have been skittering along this 78.6 level. And again, have not been mean reverted to the downside since Tuesday, April 22nd with Nvidia, like 6 weeks straight of nothing but red mean reversion dots, meaning this thing is running red hot. You'll notice that the green, the 50-day moving average is crossing the 100-day moving average, most likely on its way up to the 200. The 200 is sitting right at the 61.8% fib level or 128. That again, like I said, is going to be the floor right now for Nvidia. I said 131 per the other chart where all the volume was. If we look at it with the 200-day moving average, it goes down to 128. So somewhere in that 128 to 131 range is the floor. If we come over here to the MicroStrategy Tesla chart, on the MicroStrategy Tesla chart, wild swings, right? We were up as high as 1.49 back a month ago, dropped just a couple of weeks ago, all the way down to a 1-to-1 ratio between these two. Skyrocketed back up to a 1.34-ish ratio on the two and have leveled off here at around 1.15. So hopefully you've been playing this pair. It doesn't always give perfect signals. I've said that on other videos. If you're looking for perfect buy and sell signals all the time, it doesn't always give one. Like there's no sell signal right here, but that's why I use the linear regression channel, sometimes using the full width of the channel as my guide, sometimes using the midpoint, which is this green line right here as my guide. When you saw this move starting to run out of steam, you could have gone from MicroStrategy back into Tesla right here. You had mean reversion dots that were more than one standard deviation to the upside, meaning that MicroStrategy was overpowering Tesla at that point. Good time to go ahead and go back into Tesla. Right now, looks like we're going to hit the bottom of this channel again. Could be another good time to go from Tesla back into MicroStrategy. And as a quick bonus this week, since I made a video about it, it got a lot of traction, and that was on the STRK, STRF, and STRD preferred share products of MicroStrategy. That's a mouthful. And what you'll notice is they did pay out their they did announce their dividends. So the ex-div date was Friday the 13th. The dividend for STRK will be $2, and this is unusual, but the dividend for STRF will not be $2.50. They actually have it listed here as $2.64 on the dividend for STRF. So those are going to be paid out on the 30th, so at the end of the month. You'll notice that these spiked up and are now starting to trade sideways. Part of the reason, in my opinion, for why they're trading sideways is the newer product that came out, STRD. You have some people starting to filter their way into it, and it's sitting down at $88 a share. So it's trading $12 below par value. So you'll have your traders that are going to try to arbitrage that difference between the $100 par value and the $88 current price, buying it at $88, selling it when it gets up to the $100 par value, and not worrying about the 10% non-cumulative dividend that it pays out, because it may or may not pay out that dividend. On the other hand, over here, this 8 and 10 that you're getting on the STRK, STRF, those are cumulative dividends. Those do need to be paid out. If they don't pay it out for some reason, there's a penalty and they have to pay it out with an extra percent the next month. So that they're going to keep making those payments for now. They have the money, they have the collateralization of these things. And for me, a lot of people have asked, how am I using these tools? Again, not financial advice. A high yield savings account right now pays about 3.5 to 4%. It was as high as 5%, but then they lowered the interest rates. If they continue lowering the interest rates, your savings accounts are going to keep going down. They'll drop below 3% on the high yield savings account soon. If I can get 10% over at STRF, why not make 3 times as much by parking my cash in something like STRF instead of instead of a high yield savings account? So that's how I'm using these tools. All right, I hope you found value in today's video, guys. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you like this video. Comment below. Let me know, what'd you like best? What'd you learn today? What would you like to see more of? And make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you see more videos, not only of mine, but like mine, so that you can keep getting this information over and over again and learning by immersion. Also, I do an entire course on TradingView and technical analysis, going over everything that you saw me going over today. That course is available at G Dinero Coaching. Again, TradingView technical analysis. There's also a course there on understanding options. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to trade options. Maybe it all sounds like Greek to you, pun intended. Then head over to G Dinero Coaching and book an understanding options course with me. And finally, I do a limited number of individual appointments over there as well. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. I'm G Dinero. I'm here to help you increase your financial literacy, to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. We'll see you next time. Take care.